So far, so good, everybody. That's the second client, the second member or the third member of the team. So we already went through the initial owner, the architect, and the contractor. The other player that we have also is the authority having jurisdiction. I'm going to use that term. I want you to be familiar with that term. Authority AHJ. Authority having jurisdiction. Typically, is the building department. That's what it means. So, and they're here to also protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public through the enforcement of a state code and zoning ordinances within the particular town. That's how they do that. All right. Then we have the real estate professional. They are the person that sells the property, but they profit for the cost of the sale of the property for the owner or developer. The more they sell, the more they make. All right. I want you to know, follow the money. They're here to sell a property. They're not your friend. They're not your partner. They're here to sell a property and make a profit and maintain that client so that they keep selling for that client. Right. So attorney. So this is a different role. So this professional, by the way, I laugh when I see the word real estate professional because the statute of being a professional covers more than just trying to make a profit, right? We do things. So attorney, the attorney is here to prepare condo documents appropriate for recording with the registry of deeds and enforceable by applicable law of jurisdiction for each unit and for each unit owners. Right? They basically work for the state and for the future owner. They don't work for the current owner. All right. So they're thinking about the long term. And what do they need? Well, they need certified plans and plot plan. And basically, they need that, which is provided by us, but they generate something called master deed and condo trust. The master deed is what gets recorded, and the condo trust also gets recorded, and it delineates quickly, I'm going to tell you, delineates who owns what and why and in whichever way. It creates an entity on its own. The building becomes an entity on its own. So there's owner A and owner B for a two-family, but then there is C, the trust that ties it all together. All right. Owners. So that's another one. And this is what I really want you to pay attention to. Whoever purchases the property, for as long as the law allows, which it changes depending on the jurisdiction, this owner becomes your responsibility, our responsibility. So you're like, Darwin, so we designed for X, have to meet the code that makes it all safe and all that, and have to provide documents for somebody to sell them, and have to create this registry of these documents for the state and for the attorney. But then at the very end, we also have another owner that we don't know and we have no control of. And that's why I wanted to start with that. That's really, really the key part I want you to know. All right. So we design at the very end, we're certifying these documents for somebody we do not know. Okay. And that said, let's go through a quick sample project. Does that sound good? So client comes to us. I want you to design me this two-family, and I bought it for $600,000, and I'm hoping to sell it for 1.3 million, and I'm hoping to make a profit, and I need it fast. Most of these developers are, I need it fast, I need it cheap. And I was talking to Mr. Tim yesterday about the triple constraint. So fast, high quality, and cheap. You can only have two of those. So you cannot have three, right? I spoke about that. So if you want it fast, it won't be cheap. If you want it fast and high quality, it also won't be cheap. If you want it high quality and you want it cheap, it will take me forever. Because I'm just gonna take my time to do it. So you can only have two, you can never have three. That's a concept that we learn on project management. So this person comes to us and we do this beautiful set of drawings. Beautiful, very well done, very well put together. The client loves us. And I want you to take also take account on the tone of the relationship as we go forward. All right. It's like a marriage, right? So great. They love our work. There is some, we do our site plan. Sure. Everything looks great. They get their permit, meets the authority having jurisdiction requirements. They start construction. A lot of turmoil happens along from getting this client that's wonderful and loves us, and we have great references, to getting this permit, a lot happens. And that's the story that most of you have been experiencing, right? The market structure changes. They get anxious about it. This particular client called us and they were going to sell the property. They were going to sell the project. They couldn't afford it. Sometimes they say things like, you designed too expensive. And that's when we go back to the vision board, which is the reason why we have a process, guys. That process is amazing. It's not perfect by any means, but it does cover us for a lot of the things that come. Because they come to us and they become, it's like almost like when you are in the middle of I don't know, like on a vote, everybody's having fun in the boat, there's a party, and then the vote runs out of oil or gas, and everybody's in the middle of the ocean, and they're like, it's your fault. You didn't put. It's like instead of thinking as a team, we're no longer a team. At that point, the relationship starts changing, and they really get pretty evil. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. So all of you that are in the profession, be ready for that, and be ready for that. If you ever want to also own a firm, understand that the role may change. The role changes when the authority having jurisdiction denies the permit for reasons that we all probably know, and even for reasons that we do not know. You are costing me money, architect. You're taking too long. It becomes a very, very nasty relationship. Okay? And I'm not sugarcoating it. The swears, you probably have seen some of it. The calls, you probably have seen some of it. I will not pay you until I get a permit, a building permit. That's one thing that they use. I will not pay you until I get a building permit. Which is not our responsibility, it's beyond our control, right? So when we do these beautiful drawings, these are good still so far on this relationship. And I'm not saying that this one in particular is bad. I'm gonna use some other example. But we do our documents, right? They get approved for construction and they get permitted, right? So then time goes by, boom, 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 boom. And they call us. It could be a year, it could be 2 years after, it could be 20 years after. They call us because we might have already locked them in as a contract to do condo documents for them. We may have not done that. It may be an additional service. One thing I'm doing now is that I've been including them as part of the package for certain investors because we know that we're going to be doing that. So I say, well, let's lock in the rate and let's make sure that, we get it in and we get a deposit. I am tentative. I can go both ways into either whether we should do that or not. Sometimes I just want to give them a good deal because they're asking for discount. So I put it all together. And I'm not trying to give you more information that you need. This is all like together, like understanding why we do the deal at the beginning. So what's been happening is that some of them don't even want to turn them into condos. They want to turn them into apartments and then they want a refund. So that's one issue I have there. So I'm thinking more and more on just not including it and doing it as an additional. But these are pictures we do when we go measure. All right, so construction finish, things go in, all great. By the way, the person that initially designed these may not be the person that goes to do these condo documents. This is one of the reasons, or the main reason why we use standards and we follow protocols and procedures at the office. All right, so that no matter who the person is doing this, whoever goes to do the condo documents understands the language. We're all talking the same language. Right, so look, in this case, it was Tim. He has his laser, he's got his tape measure, he's got his paper, and he goes through and he verifies that what we drew, how close and how far was it from what we drafted. So, and he verifies all of this. This is now a different tone. Guys, we're not trying to sell a design. Now we're certifying a property that's to be sold to an owner. We're talking money here, all right? So what's the number one goal here? Accuracy. For who? Is it for the current owner? No. It's for us to certify to the new owner, to the state, to the registry of deeds, to the attorney, all right? So this is a complete different role, a complete different thing. There are actually a lot of architectural offices that do not, by any means, do condo documents. I know many, many architectural offices that end the process where we were before. Condo construction documents are completed. They are building their thing. That's it. They don't even provide construction administration. They don't even do any of that. All right. So these are the pictures. I want to commend Julio and Tim because they worked collaboratively. I don't even know how to say it. They were in a collaborative manner. to be able to get this consensus between what happened and what was drawn and how it looked. All right. Because all of these little crannies and corners all get accounted, guys. Because now we're certifying a property. It's like when you buy a car, right? You go check everything. You check, that the engine is good, that the miles are good. Miles are critical, right? Miles is a good example for what this would be. Miles in this case will be square footage. If somebody tells your car has 40,000 miles and he actually has 100,000, you would not like that. You would not like it at all. So, and we'll get to that. So Tim went in. When do we want to go do condo document? That's another one. We do not want to go measure these things until at least sheetrock is up, in my opinion. Now, Marcus could say otherwise. We may have different preferences. Ideally, when it's painted and even almost ready to be staged, it will be the best because we want to certify the truth. Yeah, when cabinets are installed, Julio just said, when cabinets are installed, when things are fixed, that's when we want to do it because we are certifying this property, right? The pictures can lie. This is a good one. Women lie, men lie, numbers don't lie. I like that one. So the pictures may lie. The real estate agent, hey, I'm not trying to say anything bad about real estate, but may lie. The owner may misrepresent this, but we cannot by any means afford to lie. By any means. All right, and we'll get to that in a minute. So these are some pictures. So because we do the internal condo documents for the actual building inside and outside, we take pictures of the inside, but because we also do the site plan with Mr. Patrick Grant and Scott Serrato, we also go outside. So there should be some pictures outside. And I'm sure they are because we made sure, there you go. We made sure to communicate this. Communication, guys, critical. We communicated this to Mr. Tim, which was the person that went on site, that we needed the outside because that would save Patrick a site visit, right? He just wants to see what changed. And if a lot of it changed, well, I got to go there, right? And this process is very collaborative between the surveyor, the architect, the attorney, and the real estate professional actually all work together on this. So I'll break down more how the role changes. But all of this very, very important. Okay, so we got to show what the equipment is. We got to show what type of equipment is to the best of our knowledge. Each town is slightly different on some requirements, by the way, and each registry of deeds is different. So sometimes I tell people here at the office, oh, Darwin, we're going to do it exactly like the one we did before. No, that's actually the worst thing you could do. Use that as a sample, but find out if any of the requirements have changed. Go to the registry of deeds for that particular county and find out what they're requesting, what they're requiring, okay? Always cover yourself, okay? So that's it. So I'm not going to go through more pictures, but construction ended, and now we go there to do condo documents, all right? Condo documents, the main purpose of them is to really represent the truth of what this property is like at that particular time for somebody to be able to make an informed purchase. And there is a Consumer Protection Act that applies to these, just like it applies to you buying something at Home Depot and you being able to return it, right? And you being able to. So we have two threads here, and I'm gonna get into that in a minute. But so we go in and measure everything in here. Let me just measure everything and try. I'm just gonna do. So, and we typically represented in black for all the walls and all the partitions. We've been represented in black. We use a hatch that delineates what's common versus what's exclusive use for that particular unit, for that particular owner. We've been using net as the count of measure for square footage, which is the interior face of sheetrock or the interior face of finish, whichever the finish may be. That's what we've been using as net to show our areas. We do show a plus or minus in all of our measurements. Some attorneys do not want the plus or minus. Some of them don't want to see it. I want you, as a rule of thumb, to start with that. right? Show plus or minus. I'm getting now into the nitty gritty of this video. So this is how we represent it. This is a good sample that we did. One of the units already been sold. So, and we'll go through that, what that looks like also as a finished product. You saw what it looked like when Mr. Tim went to measure. You saw when it was designed. You saw now you're seeing the Condo. So we want plus or minus. Couple other things I want you to take account to. So if these dimensions would have said 20 foot, 28 foot, 8.5, I want you to round down. What do you mean? Don't show 28 foot, 28, 8.5, show 28.8. That's less. But when the person, and I'm going to get to the two threats that we have, when the person that's a threat to you as a professional, which is the person you're protecting the health, safety, and welfare to, which is the buyer, comes and measures it, they will be pleased to know that they have more square footage than what they actually are showing. In their mind, that makes them very happy. But our square footage count is accurate regarding the finished area. Okay? But they have the power of going and using a laser and trying to measure this. And we measure just interior net overalls. Condo documents are not to look like construction documents measurements. And in fact, I'm going to go back and show you what the construction documents drawings, which you all know, look like. The construction documents are for a contractor and for an authority having jurisdiction to make a determination on, one, how to build this and how safe it is, clearances and safety requirements. That's all very detailed, very, a lot of tax. No. This person may never even ever see that construction document said, the owner of this property. And they many people don't. This is for the owner to have an informed decision into what they're buying. We quantify net and we show common areas. There are three components that I want to see on these. Typically, we do the floor plan and we do a very dummy section. I actually would want to hatch this area. I think it wasn't hatched for a reason regarding, like, what doesn't have a hatch means it belongs to one. Does have a hatch, but overall, I ideally want to see this cohesive and consistent. And you're saying this is unit 1, this is unit 2. You're dividing that clearly. Another thing, if nothing else, when you read these, it will augment what I've been talking to you about. This is what we're certifying. Note, all areas shown are approximate, are in feet, and are rounded to the nearest inch on floor plans. I certify that this plan fully and accurately depicts the layout, location, unit numbers, areas, and dimensions of the units of the 8284 Cotting Street condominiums as they have been built as of 04/29/2020. When you go to court, if we ever have a lawsuit or a situation like that or whatever, well, God forbid, this is what you're certifying. You're certifying that the unit numbers are correct. And you're like, what? Yeah. If they and the condo documents on the master deed call it on a B and C, and you call it a unit 1 and 2, wrong. Get sued by that. It's wrong, right? We want accuracy. Location. If unit 1 is not at the top, it's actually at the bottom, and unit 2 is at the top, and then it's at the bottom. These are common sense little things, but I want you to please get them 100% correct. 100%. This is more important than any beautiful rendering you will ever do. This is more important than anything else when it comes to our services. Why? Because this you saw it. For as long as this building exists, any buyer can sue us. Any buyer, right? That includes the very smart ones that includes the ones that are not PhD or graduates, but also includes the Harvard graduates that will measure this and have an attorney on staff, that they have fun doing this stuff, right? So we want to make sure that we certify those units, those areas, and those dimensions. Okay? You're like, well, Darwin, if the dimensions are wrong, because we said that we're rounding. Okay, so we're good, right? We're not lying. We're not lying in anything. And then it says, this plan was prepared in accordance with the rules and regulations of the particular county registry of deeds of the particular state. As of right now, we've only certified condo documents for Massachusetts. I don't have any recollection of any other state yet, but I think that those are the only ones. Okay, that part. So that part's on you. You, whoever is preparing these documents, to go there, go to the Middlesex County, and make sure you read the requirements and make sure you match them. You, whoever is drafting it, that's your responsibility. It's my responsibility to review these. That's correct. And I have also Julio review and Marcos review, all of us review, but we got to cover all of each other. Okay. The approximate area of each unit is computed exclusive of common area facilities and is dimensioned from finished face to finished face of the missing walls. Finished face is what we're counting. Okay. And that's unit 1, and this is unit 2, same idea. North arrows are critical. A little dimension. This is a requirement by the ratio of these. They require to see a north arrow. They're required to see a little scale. You do not know how to put together scale because it's something that we used back in the days. Now we don't use it as much. We can show you how to do that. But this is what you're certifying. Okay? Are we clear? Very good. Right? So, as I said, condo documents include certified architectural plans, certified site plan, master deed, and condo trust. You're like, well, Darwin, we control 1 and 2. What's about 3? What does that look like? I don't like reading these documents, but I don't like doing a lot of things, but I have to do those things. So I get a copy sometimes when they provide it, and I read them. But before I go into number 3, because I'm going to show you a sample, I want to talk more about how number 1 and number 2 gets put together. Number 1 and number 2 gets put together in collaboration with the owner, the builder, and the attorney. Sometimes the real estate agent. But real estate agent doesn't really have a lot of weight in this, by the way. Legally, the real estate agent come after, right? So to be honest, when you're preparing this, I would personally disregard the real estate agent altogether. I'm just talking to what the attorney wants, what the owner's trying to get me to represent, what I'm representing, what the authority having jurisdiction wants. That's it. Why? Because the real estate agent has no part after the sale of a property. They have nothing. They don't exist. Who cares who sold it, right? So they only go after the person that registered, and the attorney is involved in that. And the attorneys are very careful. In fact, Julio, can you tell me a little bit about your experience, how the process has been with attorneys? Like, I'm gonna mute myself.
Hey guys, you can hear me? You're on mute. Yeah. Well, basically, it's like every attorney like we've been working has been like a little different. I mean, generally, it's the same concept, like square footage, all the dimensions that you discuss. But there are some like there, for example, in this one that you're showing, the decks or the porch in the back, one of them was like just for each unit, and the porch that was like a common area, or some steps from the stairs belongs to one unit and the other stairs for another unit, even if they're in a common space, because they are like assembly, all the description of each unit. So we have to follow with them that specific instructions. Like, I mean, it's not like nothing weird or nothing complicated to do. It's just to have the communication with them. Probably they're going to make you do 20 changes, but it's nothing complicated. It's just to add a note, who's the owner of this HVAC unit, and who's the owner of this boiler, and that's pretty much. They're very nice. I mean, they're not.
Overall, the attorneys have never been a pain, at least not with me. Like because I value what they're trying to do, and what they're trying to do is really they like, listen, honestly, they look at the law and they don't care about you. They don't care about these. They read the law and they look at the condo documents and they're like, and they really, in their mind, they play the worst case scenario. All right, well, I bought unit 1. I live in unit 1. Do I own that porch? Do I not own that porch? Do I own half of the wall, or do I not own half of the wall? You know, the conversations. Okay. So yeah, exactly. So uh, so okay. So yeah, where I have. Oh yes, this is it. So and then the survey one was one that we spent the most time, to be honest. Okay. So the survey one is, look at this, look at this. So there's a hash for, and you're like, what's EUA unit two? Well, exclusive unit area for unit two. They need to know this, guys. I keep saying this: in the United States, property is more important than people, right? So, and that's my opinion, by the way, beyond my neighbor. But but they really need to know. Well, don't park my spot, and and claims. It says it right here. I told you, like, claims are, the condo documents are notorious for claims. Notorious. I have been in so many situations where the owner of unit one and owner of unit two do not get along. Like, I mean, if I was to get $1 for every time they had issues, sometimes I don't want to hear you. I'm gonna demo this wall. They don't need to know, right? And I'm like in my mind thinking, oh gosh, another couple of owners that just um, and that's it. So that's another reason why some people don't want even want buy condos. I'm not dealing with this, and they have to talk to each other because they have the condo trust, by the way, in one of the documents I'm going to show you, which they have a condo fee, and they have to repair the roofs together, and they have to. It's almost like a marriage. It really is like a marriage, like whether you like me or not. A marriage with kids. Without kids, I think they can get away. But a divorce with kids. So like, I probably don't like you, but we have something in common that we got to protect. Oh, the siding is broken, or the roof is broken, or the pad is broken. So they want to know. Oh, well, listen, that driveway, it's your problem, not mine. You got to fix that driveway, not me, right? So, but we live in a very interconnected world, right? We all breathe the same air, as a matter of fact. So it's like, so something that affects one, it will probably affect the other. So we have to always make sure this is spelled out to the T. We had some very strong, conversations with Jim Ferraro, one of the attorneys for Nelson. Also, another attorney, David Cutler, was the attorney for this one, which ironically is the same name as another one. And it was all. That's why I don't have a problem with attorneys. I have never had a problem with attorneys. They are like, when they talk, is the law talking. And they don't think about today. They think about 20, 30, 40, 50 years from now. So they don't think about today. All right. So let's then jump into that's that things that, and that, I guess, we already covered it. So, and we can just open it to all of us. Things to watch out for. So I'm going to throw in one. That's typical. So the owners of a property. I'm gonna put this in here real quick. All right. So you guys know, sales of properties are public record. That's a public record. Everybody sees it. Everybody, like, that's a public record, right? And there's nothing to hide. So this property, 26 Kensington, was bought for $1 million. The two units. Two units were bought for $1 million. What did I say the developers buy a property for, right? A Rye. Putting you on the spot, right?
Yeah.
What do they buy a property for?
What was the question again?
So what does a developer buy a property for?
To invest.
I can't hear you.
To invest.
Oh, to invest for the sake of what?
To earn money to the property, to invest, so they can flip it.
Exactly. They do it in order to make profit. So they bought this property for 1 million, right? They hired us to go renovate the property, and they want to make more money. So the moment, and I told you that the roles change and the music changes, right? It's like a party that starts happy. Yeah, we're gonna design the property. And then it doesn't have to, but it may turn very, very bitter. So these owners for this particular property renovated the entire property, two family, and I'm gonna show you things I don't like about this entire condo document set. And nothing wrong with whoever did it, nothing wrong. It's just a learning experience for all of us. So they bought it for 1 million, had to hold it for X amount of time. There is something called holding costs, by the way, guys. Is like the mortgage payments, and they typically get hard money lender, hard money, which is like 12, 30, 15% interest. Is beyond what the market's giving you. Because they get it cash and they can buy the property right away and they can build it right away. So that's why they're anxious. I need these drawings now. I need a permit now. I need this, I need that, you know? And now our role as seasoned architect, because we're not the kids, the new kids in the street, we're seasoned architects at this point, is to say, oh, come on, slow down. You want it fast, you want it right. And then they don't like those answers. Like, you know, because if you want it fast and run, I'm not doing it. They don't like those answers. But our role now as a mature company that's not just eager to make a buck, is we're eager to create a legacy. And what's the legacy that we're going to leave behind? Is that of the person that's just doing things fast and doing it wrong and doesn't look good and it's horrible? No. No, by no means. In fact, I'd rather just be a 1 or 2 or 3 main operation if we're going to be a 20, 30 people office that has a horrible reputation. I do not want that. So, and whenever I speak for Marcos too, and Julian, all of us. That's what we want to be. So that said, this particular owner spent this time, has to hold the property for a year, rushed us into getting this project, and I accepted the deal. It wasn't during Christmas last year. I accepted the deal. I didn't know much. Again, relationships all start friendly and fun, all good, you know. And we went on. We took the property. We did the drawings. They got it permitted. They built it. We did the condo documents all the way back in April and May. But they had to hold it for a full year. And remember, we got hired in December. So when did they get the property? Well, they got it in October of last year. So October of this year is coming. They can now sell the property. They did not look at these drawings from April until now, September. They did not look at these drawings. They did not look at these areas. Why should they have looked at it? By the way, we sent it as a draft, not stamped, so that they can, one, make any necessary edits to the project, to the design. They already done the sheetrock, but also for themselves as investors, do your numbers, dude. Here's the area. Do your numbers. Make sure that your numbers are making sense. Make sure that everything's making sense, because they are here to turn in a profit. Well, tell you. At that time, we gave gross numbers to them. They insisted that we provided exterior face of finish areas. Do not do that. Guys, don't do that. Like, if I, for some reason, tell you that we do that, hit me in the head and tell me, nope, Darwin, we do not do that. I'm protecting Flow Design Architects, which is where I eat and pay my rent and pay everything. We do not do that. Because one, the exterior may change over time a lot. And two, that's not what we're certifying on our document. Remember, our document says finished face of wall. That's what we're selling. Interior finished face, no exterior. We don't sell rows. Now, I'll tell you, and I guess I'm going to contradict myself. But if you change the language to say that you're selling gross, then that's fine. But you just cannot say I'm selling you net and showing you gross, or I'm selling you gross and showing you net. Does that make sense? They have to speak to each other accurately. But typically, what we do is net, and what I want to see is net unless otherwise noted, unless somebody else tells you otherwise. Okay? So, well, this one goes really wrong. It really gets really wrong. Why? I'll tell you why. Well, we're showing outside and also dimensioning inside. Wrong. We cannot do that. Because then they're going to start checking what the thicknesses of the walls are, how many square footage of the walls are. And this particular case caused a lot of stress. And you guys probably saw me a couple of weeks ago rushing to measure this property. And the owners didn't show up to measure it with me. And nobody showed up to really certify that. Then the realtor, after I was there for a while, showed up. And the realtor, as I was measuring everything, and I said, look, our dimensions are accurate. Our dimensions were within the tolerances of 1/2 inch, 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, accurate. They were not 3 inches off, 2 inches off, 5 inches off, okay? The realtor had already hired another company that does it with a laser system. That's a new system that they do now. It's pretty accurate, actually, I would say overall. But what they said and what we said was the same. The owner claimed that we were misrepresenting this property and that the square footage was not correct. They went into the property card. You guys all know the property cards because we use that here to do our existing conditions as a reference. So they went to the property card, which is something measured by somebody with a tape measure for the only purpose of taxing this property. They're not even misrepresenting or not representing. They're only doing it for the only purpose. The town only does the property cards for the only purpose of taxing this property. That's it. It's part of the assessor's website. It's part of the assessor's map. It's not accurate. It's not to be trusted. You use it as a base to do 60 conditions. If it was accurate, would we send you to go measure this? We wouldn't. Oh, no, that's perfect. That's accurate. No, don't assume it to be accurate. That's why we go and measure it. So they were using that, and he was saying that the basement was 1,200 square feet. So the owners have been planning that they were going to use those 1,200 square feet as living space to be able to add it to the total square foot of this property to sell it. And they were using a fee margin, a number that wasn't necessarily real. And we're gonna get to that in a second. And I'm gonna try to be very quick. So this one, right, sold for 1 million, as I told you, prior to the renovation. They're here to make money. So that's exactly what they're trying to do. And there is a cost per square foot of $384 per square foot. That's what they were using, right? So the property is on the market now, by the way. And the cost per square foot that they're trying to sell it for is $525 per square foot. And this is huge. And I hope you're not working, trying to do some other project right now. I want you to get this one, everybody. They are selling square footage. If we misrepresent square footage, we are selling something wrong. We're lying. We are trying to profit somebody and trying to steal from somebody. We do not want to be that. We do not want to do that. So we want to be accurate. So they're selling it for $384 square foot. They're hoping to sell it for $526 per square foot. So doesn't it make a big difference? And I'm gonna throw 300 and 500. That the actual net area is 919 times 300. That's $275,000. Well, $275,000. So let's go 919 times 500 for the sake. That's $500,000. The difference is of about $250,000. Okay. So being able to tell the truth and being able to showcase the truth accurately is a big difference. So the clients were harassing me, and thank God they don't have to harass you. Thank God we cover that. Me and Marcos typically deal with this kind of situation. And trust me, we do not get paid enough for this. So if you feel like you do not, this is the business we're in. This is what we're supposed to do. So they're harassing me, saying I'm stealing $250,000 from them. Now, this property has been under discussion for quite some time. Mr. Julio knows about it because we were starting to measure this all the way back in March when I was away. Now, Julio, could you tell the team what the real estate agent was requesting from us to do?
Well, yeah, the guy was like, when he saw the numbers, he was like, well, man, I'm not going to ask you to lie. I'm just going to ask you that you don't put those numbers there. And I was like, well, I cannot do that. I have to talk with my boss. And he was like, no, I mean, they don't have to know about this. Just put these numbers. I was like, we haven't never do that before, man. I don't know. And he was getting pissed. But I was like, man, it's just not the way it works. I'm not going to lie, because it's a big deal. It's a lot of money. So they were insisting. They even called Darwin on vacation saying like, hey, please change those numbers, because they realized that they fucked it up. And
so this has been going on, and now I cannot make this up because Julio's involved in the project. I'm involved in the project. So I cannot make this up, okay? So they literally were telling us to lie, right? So, and they've been telling us to lie ever since March. I was actually in San Diego, so that's why I remember. I contextualize everything. They call me when I was there, and they probably also call Marcos. They probably call the office many times. This particular real estate agent, and I'm sorry, guys, but as a rule of thumb, I just don't trust real estate agents. There may be some that are good, but I will start with a yellow line, not with a green line. It will always be a proceed with caution with them, because what they're here to do is to sell a property for X amount, and they make about 5 to 6% of the money. Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead. I can't hear you well though. Can you put it right in your face? The microphone?
Hello,
Yeah, go.
can you hear me?
Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I can. Can you hear me though?
Yeah.
Okay, I just had a question about, was the real estate asking to basically lie or basically not put that information because he has already, like, he was gonna make more profit because of the square footage difference? Because owners change a lot of things, like within time, that might not reflect like the original plan. So it makes sense when things are different, a little bit.
No. So
after
after we design a project, that's one scope, right?
Yes, I got it.
After we come back for condo documents,
Mhm.
I don't care what we design. I just care about what's there, the truth.
Makes sense. The final part, but I'm saying like it was convenient for the realtor not to see the numbers because he basically thought he was gonna gain more profit for like what he based it off the sell-off like before. Like what did they base the sell-off before? Like the design that we had before?
No, they based their numbers on a lot of things, and I don't want to be in their head, but I'll tell you what I think they were basing it. They were basing it on the cost of properties at that particular day, at that particular time when they first got the property, because they did their numbers, and they based it on the market conditions of that particular day, and they based it on the property card that had dimensions because they didn't have any dimensions. They based it on those things, but they didn't base it on, and they based it on gross instead of net. That's another thing that they based it on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Makes sense.
So then they started to get creative and coming up with, can you give me the dimension to half of the wall? So they wanted me to give them the dimension of half of the wall inside. Then they wanted me to give them, and I said, listen, I don't have laser eyes. I cannot see what's inside your walls, so I cannot give you what's half of there. And then they're telling me, well, so you're telling me that this wall is like 5 feet because they're subtracting. This is why I don't give the gross and the net, because they're subtracting X from the addition of X plus the walls and saying, so you're telling me that that wall is 5 foot thick. I'm like, I don't know, and I don't care. I really just say, I don't know how thick it is, and I don't care. So he was saying, I'm losing 300 square foot on this property. How am I losing 300 square foot on this property? Well, if you do a polyline around this entire wall with the windows and everything, that's gross area. That's about 300 square feet. All right. So they were losing that. So, and again, it's not an insignificant amount. 300 square foot times, did we say $500? 500 per square foot? That's $150,000, guys. But we did what was right, and I will stand by that until the end of my life. We did what was right. The dimensions match the dimensions of the initial architect. By the way, I forgot to mention there was an architect prior to us, which was let go for a reason. Probably they were also trying to do the right thing. The dimensions for the other company that did their square footages also were right, or dimensions were the most correct because I went and verified them myself, and they wanted us to lie. Now, bottom line is they did indeed list the property with the square footages that we provided. And another thing that they did, full disclosure, they call other companies and ask them, could you make or condo documents have more square footage than what Flow did? Flow sucks. Flow, by the way, they don't say Darwin and they don't say Marcos, they say Flow, and we are all Flow. So let's always remember that, right? Let's always remember that whatever you do at the end of the day, it's gonna hurt or help our company and the livelihood of it. So we are running out of time right now, so I'm gonna open it up, but they ended up listing the right numbers. But what am I doing right now? I am here on no longer ever doing work with this particular team, at least not with the particular member of the team that is asking us to lie. And I don't have control over the realtor. I don't pick the realtors. I may ask, who's got you listening to? But sometimes they don't even know. Sometimes they don't even know any of that. So the realtor I have no control over. But the particular investor and the particular developer, their modus operandum is sneaky and is wrong and it's unlawful. And I'd rather not make that money. That's dirty money. I don't know if you heard that concept, but that's dirty money. And dirty money never ends up good. Right? So I'm opening it up to everybody right now.
Oh, it's not a question, Darwin, it's not a clarification, but I thought typically when we're rating like a square footage to sell a
Sorry, I unmute you. Hold on. Can you unmute yourself? My bad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
It's more like a clarification or kind of like a question. I thought like the way we measure, like from the face of the star to the face of the star is because what matters is like the habitable space. It's not what's in between the wall, like what's gonna be used. Like, you know how you said they were like asking you to count that thick wall, but like there's not enough space there. Why would they do that?
They were doing that because they wanted to make money. And by the way, we don't measure to the face of the stud. We measure to the finished face of Chiro
I
for
mean,
condo
yes,
documents.
yes, I'm sorry, yes, from finished face to the finished face, like interior.
They screwed up with their numbers. That's all. And they wanted us to be responsible for their mess up. It's not our responsibility how much they make. I want my developers to be profitable. I really do. And I've said it in text, by the way. I've already recorded this conversation and I'm ready. And I mentioned earlier to you guys that there's two threats that we have. So the threats of the future owners, which is the one I emphasize the most. But there's also the threat of the current owner. The current owner right now on this property wants to sue Flow Design. But we've done the right thing. So we have nothing to worry about. They're saying that we're misrepresenting the property for them to lose money. That's not the case. We never want anybody to lose. So, and we have all these success stories. This is another one. Is already sold above price. Beautiful project. We've done so many condo documents. This is not our first rodeo. So we're not being, whenever somebody asks for something, we've already been there, done that. We are seasoned. We know what we're doing. Anybody else? All right. So, Mark, you have nothing to add? Everything good?
Yeah, I believe you went in detail. So I mean, I just want to make sure that you guys pay attention to these elements. It's important that what Julio mentioned, when you do these drawings, make sure these drawings are going to go through iterations. So when you send it to a lawyer, just have them look at the plans over and over again, because there are things that you might not know. For example, if let's say a deck has two entrances that access that deck from each unit, you might need to talk to the lawyer, and maybe you subdivide that deck in a way that, okay, this landing is shared for both units, and then this portion of that deck is only used for that particular unit. So it's important for you to kind of like go through iterations and talk to the lawyer. But besides that, I think that Darwin went through a lot of details and examples. So I think that all of you will get experience as you create this plan. So very important that you pay attention to those details.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody. With that said, this is going to be saved as a private video for us. So I will probably, and Marcos probably will say, somebody's doing condo documents for the first time, watch this. You know what I mean? Like that's going to be like, watch this, you know, and I'll do a private one. You're going to have access to it. As you guys know, all of us have signed non-disclosure agreements. So there are a lot of things that we do inside here that you can't really be sharing with anybody outside. And I really hope this was helpful. I've spent a lot of time like this. I'm going to end it with this. This particular situation has caused me a lot of stress, and I haven't been able to sleep for probably about 2.5 weeks. I'm now getting better because these things are very important, right? And they're not a joke. They're very, very serious. Much more stress than many bigger projects, more fun projects that we've ever done. But this is a good service. when you guys are able to do accurate condo documents, it makes you very profitable for us. And it means that we will wanna retain you. We wanna keep paying you, even if that was the only thing you did, on the worst day of the recession or whatever. That's a skill. That's a great skill. And that brings trust. Julio has gained, of course, trust over time with us. And that's a very good thing for you guys to all learn and watch.